So optimistic for anyone that wants to see Europe and America work closer than they have done in the past.
Absolutely.
But for both reasons, both that the Americans have toned down their neoconservatism and moved towards recognizing the power of soft power rather than hard power, and because the Europeans are less entrenched, or the French are less entrenched in their previous desire to challenge American dominance within the European space.
Yes, I would not go so far as to say that preference in America is given to soft power over hard power. But I think there's an understanding that you don't use hard power in the wrong places. In the world we're living in, there's only one country that has the greatest hard power. There's a very good understanding that you don't use it all the time. And particularly, there's a falling back on realist ideas that say you only use it when your national interests are at stake, major national interests. Again, I think Sarkozy wants to get the Europeans to change some of their policies. They tend to be economic policies. He wants them to change. At least he says that. And I think he may fall back if he wins. He may go back to his original program, which was a little more Atlantist than it now sounds during the election. As Michel was suggesting, a lot of people are speaking in a way to get votes rather than sticking to any particular policy that we know is there. And let's face it, both Sarkozy and Ségolène Royal have big parties that have been there a long time, and they are going to have to work with those parties if they win. Sure. So it's not just a question of their winning.
I'm shocked that you should suggest that people should say something in an election campaign and not stick to it.
So unusual, isn't it?
Exactly. Michel, I wonder if we could focus on one of those issues.
So many.
I
would love to challenge me.
Well, do feel free. But I wanted to pick up on the immigration issue, because I know that's been a very hot issue within this campaign. Yes. And of course it has links to the French relationship with the world generally. Yes. What do you see as the principal determinants in this debate? Who is it that is leading? Who is it that is following? Who is it, if you like, that has been successful or unsuccessful in shifting opinion within France or responding to it?
Well, again, I have to say that the problem of shifting opinion is that those who would give the possibility of shifting opinion do not give a democratic opportunity for us to hear the other side of the debate. And this is the case in most of our countries. This is the real issue. We generally get a voiceover. We don't even get the person actually saying what he states. That's why I'm very interested to read to you what Le Pen says, because we don't hear it. We only get a sort of scaremongering. And therefore you get... So here is what he says, if I may quote. He says, in terms of the wide Muslim world, there is a strong case for suggesting that he is more favorable to the Muslim interest than any of the other major candidates, in contrast to what my friend George says. The depressing conformity of the main candidates, where the Middle East policy is concerned, was well summed up by the Egyptian president, Mubarak, after he met outgoing President Chirac at the start of this week. Mubarak observed that he did not expect French policy in the Middle East to change, regardless of who wins the presidential election. So there we have. Here is the statement. All of this many candidates, proliferation of candidates, gives us the false illusion that we have democracy, but we have no such democracy at all, because they are all just distracting and diverting attention from the real issues. And that, of course, is why I so much admire President Ahmadinejad, because he speaks and confronts the truth bravely. And these candidates do not, save for Le Pen, who says that he, just this Monday, he said that he is a great friend of the Arab world and of Lebanon in particular. In my political party and in decision-making bodies in particular, there are French people of Lebanese and Arab origin. He says that his diplomatic advisor is a Lebanese. But more importantly, from our point of view, he says, for my part, I have never missed an occasion to express my friendship and support for the Arab world and for Arab peoples, as may be seen in my many statements and communiques. I am the only French politician who has denounced the attitude in regard to the peoples of the Arab world, the way they are pushed into misery and disarray, and therefore towards the adventure, as he calls it. I would call it the unsuccessful experiment of migration, mass migration, instead of giving them, and this is so important, this key point he makes, instead of giving them the opportunity to develop their own countries and their own societies. Because we have, as George was mentioning, we have all these Polish plumbers coming to Britain at the minute, but the consequence is that Poland is now lacking its plumbers. It's not doing anything for Poland. All this mass migrating of people. There is another wonderful friend I have, an Iraqi friend, who Riyad Al-Tahir, who is the chairman of an organization called Friendship Across Frontiers. And he has pointed out that these artificial lines that were drawn in the sand in the Arab world were not so arbitrary. He said that he thinks that those lines were drawn in the sand so that the countries themselves could not have all of the requisites for making a state, and therefore would already have to, within that framework, have to mass migrate in order to find what they needed. So until we really get down to looking at these issues, which we are not allowed to look at, and that comes back to your introduction to me, I like to look at the people who want to inquire. And when I see that their inquiry can be heavily fined or imprisoned, makes me very suspicious of why we don't have open debate, why we must have this scaremongering, this demonizing, isolating and criminalizing of people. Certainly it happens in France. And I just wonder why. And that is
Thank you.
that is the point I'd like to make.
Thank you.